To balance that sweetness, we use hops. And hops are the bittering agent of beer. Hops grow on big, tall vines. Most of ours come from Germany. The Herzberger hops, we do use some Czech Saaz hops. For making an English beer, we will buy some English hops, or an American beer, some American hops. Primarily, we're using German hops from Bavaria. The hops grow on 15-foot tall vines. They have little flowers. They are close relatives to the cannabis plant, for all those in the know. The inside of the flower has these lupin glands, and that's where the bitterness is. Also, what the distinctive aroma of the hops, the herbal, floral, piney, citrus character that's going to balance out the sweetness or roasted characters in the malt. Now, the last ingredient is yeast. I should pull back a little bit here. The reason the hops look like this is there's really only one harvest a year, and so they pelletize the flowers and they look kind of like rabbit food. The last ingredient of the four is yeast. Now, yeast was unknown to the folks who created the Reinheitsgebot about 500 years ago. It was just the ghost in the brewery that did the magic fermentation. It wasn't until Louis Pasteur came along in the 19th century, looked through a microscope and said, I think this is what's causing the fermentation. There's really two big styles or strains of yeast, if you will. There's ale yeast and there's lager yeast. Now, ale yeast is a yeast that ferments at a warmer temperature and creates distinctive fruitiness in a beer. The fermentation goes fairly fast, and that fruitiness is the beer's ending characteristic. A more extreme example would be the Belgian styles, where you get that big, stone fruit character, spiciness, or the Hefeweizen that we make here at Gordon Biersch. Hefe actually means yeast, Weizen means wheat. The banana clove character that distinguishes that beer comes from the yeast, not from the malt or the hops. The other tradition of yeast is lager yeast, and that's mostly what we use at Gordon Biersch. It's a Weinsteffen culture. That yeast, again, comes from Germany. Lagers ferment cold. They have a little bit longer fermentation time because of that, and a longer maturation time. Lager actually means to store. So lagers make for very smooth, clean, crisp flavors in the beer, and it's primarily what we do here at GB. So just to recap, we've got 4 ingredients: water, malted barley, hops, and yeast. It's just that simple.